Hello friends, hope you all are doing good. Wishing you a very happy new year 2023. A small introduction of myself. I am an experienced professional in IT service industry from last 10 years. I played so many roles from IT support staff to ITSM, service management lead, worked in different processes, let's say in change, service request, incident, problem, configuration, worked in as a SIAM lead as well. So I worked for few top MNCs as well, like Wipro, TCS, HCL, and IBM. And most of my exposure is within service management field. And this field is itself a huge word and full of so many opportunities. So I played so many roles, but still there are, hundreds of roles within this field, which can be worked upon. Okay, so if you are someone who is a fresher or who is planning to be part of any industry, whether it's IT industry or non-IT industry, and want to make your career in service management, because service management is not limited to IT industry only. It's now, it is same kind of roles are required in non-IT SM as well, for non-IT industries as well. Or if you are already working in this field and now you are preparing for interviews and looking for some tips to clear the interview, then just follow my content which I will give you day wise regularly. So if you needed training in more detail, then just please ping me. So I'm there for support. If you are new to my channel, then please subscribe it, so I will consider that your appreciations towards my effort. Now I will not put all content in one video and go step by step, so anyone can easily understand, and it will not block your precious time as well. So just follow my series, and I'm sure that by collaborating with each other, because I will also learn something from you, you will also learn something from me, we will deliver a value at the end. So IT and non-IT, one thing is definitely there, that each organization is delivering its services to another organization, either in form of to creating a product or delivering IT or non-IT services to your customer. So in any of organization, whether it's a small, medium or large, you will see that below key roles definitely will be performed. Let's say change manager role, service request manager role, incident manager role, configuration manager role, release manager role, and problem manager role. These key roles I have listed here because most of people are working in these roles only. Along with that, you can see other roles as well. Let's say capacity and availability manager, which I have not added here. As a knowledge manager also, those roles are pretty much important, but I have seen that that one person who is uh, performing multiple roles. So if one person who is doing as a role of problem manager, he can take a role of availability and capacity manager role as well. So that kind of, I have that kind of roles I have seen it in different organizations. So it always depend, like whether you are working in a small organization or you are working in big organization. So big organization, definitely for each process there will be a one person or many persons. But if you are working in a small industry, then one person, he is performing all those key processes. So now just you know don't so much think about like what each process does, because you are new to this channel, right? So I will explain you one by one, and at one time I will just pick one process and explain you in detail, how whatever I can do in these short videos. But if you need more explanation from interview perspective or from training perspective, then you can ping me. So I will definitely, provide my uh, knowledge to you, whatever I have learned in these 8 to 10 years of experience. Okay, so now you have seen that these roles exist. So definitely now these are giving you a one point that now opportunity for you to learn these roles, what is needed to get the job for these roles. So don't worry, I will tell you gradually. Let's first pick change manager role, which is a very key role for any of the organization. So let me quickly move to next slide. There I will show you a timeline how I will provide you guidance related to change management and what change manager does. Or you can start your career as a change coordinator, then by getting experience you can move to change management field itself. You can play a role of as a change manager, and then you can take different accounts, and you can be a work as a, I will say that as a change manager for different accounts. So that way you can handle this key role. So since I just created a timeline, so I will take this next week. So from 9 to 13th, I will try to cover how much I can cover related to this topic. But still, if you need more information, then you can just WhatsApp me. So I will provide you that information later. So yes, so today's I will just cover these three things: what is a change, what is change management, and why it is needed. Because and these questions generally be asked in any of interview if you are going for a change management position or change management profile, then these questions will definitely be asked you. Okay, so I will not waste much of your time and will quickly move to slide number 3, and it will present you what change is all about. So if you pick any of definition, whether from ITL framework or uh, you know based on your own understanding that what change is. So from IT industry specific perspective, I'm telling you that whenever a new service is being introduced into the environment, or already you know a service is running and you want some change within that service, or there may be a scenario that you want to terminate an existing service, then ultimately what you are doing a change. So change, this terminology actually used in very large term as well. Let's say for organizational way, let's say organizational change management is also there, where you are you are managing people, you are managing infrastructure, you are managing applications, end to end everything. So that way. But here I am just uh, talking about from ITL perspective that what change is. So change is any addition, modification of a component of the IT environment. So it's a very small definition of the change. Right. So just remember this definition, because if someone asks you what change is, so just you have to explain that uh, what's the definition of the change. So just note it down this point if you have not. And next is you have to provide some examples, but that again depends on your environment, in which environment you have worked. Okay, because if you're working in IT industry, then examples will be different. If you are working in non-IT industry, examples will be different. But one thing is sure, that change will definitely be there. Definite. right? Because whenever a customer need a new service, let's say a customer need a new application, or they need a new website. Okay, so what you need to do, you have to provide you have to do a change, right? You will create a website from scratch, so that is also a change. Okay, if you are modifying any, even if in their front end, if you change a small thing also, that is also a change. If within infrastructure you are doing any modification in the back end, that is also a change. So these few examples I have picked it, and these are more related to I will say infrastructure part. Because if you uh, if you want to be a part of any IT industry, so then you need to understand that how they work. There will be different teams, different tracks. Let's say monitoring team will be there, security team will be there, infrastructure team will be there, application teams will be there. Okay, and they will perform their day-to-day task. Then as a change manager, your responsibility will be to identify what all those tasks you want to keep in your change management process, or what all those tasks which actually need to handle with different processes. Not each thing you want to put in change, otherwise it will be very difficult to manage, right? So these few things I keep here. Let's say port open security to it belongs to security team. See, if you don't belongs to IT industry, then just don't focus on these examples. I have just put it that it is more relevant to IT industry people who are experienced one, and they understand it, that yes, uh, like that these teams are working in their environment. But if you don't know, then that is fine. Support gradually I will able to tell you that what all teams actually work in IT department, and how they deliver services to their customer that way. So these few examples I have taken. Now you can think from your uh, in your way of working on, in your terminology also, you can put some examples related to change. That correct. Now next point comes, that why change is needed. If change management is not there, then what will happen? So that is very correct question, and that used to ask by interviewers, that why we need a change management process in the system. So just remember these points. That very first thing is that consistent approach. So since till you will not have a defined change management process in the account, you will not have a consistent approach. So how you will manage the changes then? Right, a new requirement will come, then how you will assess the requirement, that uh, whether like who needs to approve it, what sort of impact and risk assessment is actually required to perform this, what all stakeholders this needs to be communicated. Okay, what sort of validation is required in designing and testing, whom I need to go and take the approvals, so that it can be it can be processed, what will be the impact if I perform this activity, and because of that a complete system is down, and it created an outage in the environment, then who will be the responsible? So these questions, you need to you need to think in that way as a change manager. So consistent approach is very much important. On that basis you will categorize your activity into a change model. So that change model part I will tell you later. Risk and impact assessment, so that's the key to to evaluate a change, because the motive of change management process is that what whenever you cannot directly go into the production environment and perform the activity, right? Because if you perform that activity directly in the production environment and if something goes wrong, then it will create a you know so many issues for your customer, and same way for you as well, right? Because then outage will be there, end user will be impacted, so many issues will be there. So risk and impact assessment is very much important to perform any activity in the production environment. Communication plays a very key role, right? That whom all I need to communicate it. Let's say I am going to upgrade a server, then what are the stakeholders which are related to that CI, related to that server, whom I need to come, who are the part of governance, who are the part of uh, let's say server team, who are the part of network team, who are the part of change management. So we must have uh, list of those peoples whom I need to communicate as a change manager. I have to ensure that communications being sent to governance as well as relevant stakeholders. That communication is pretty much important, because if communication is not there, people will not be aware some that at this date this change was planned, and if anything has been done without informing and someone was using the system and you have rebooted the system, then think that what will be the impact. So think in that terminology. So that communication is highly important. Monitoring and tracking purpose, yes, so as from governance perspective, this change management process is important, so that KPI and other things I will communicate you later. But yes, from monitoring and tracking perspective, this process is pretty much important, that what is going in your system, what process you are following it, how you can improve it. Okay. And yes, to minimize failure in the production, that's the key objective of this process, because no one wants that his production system is impacted because of any of the activity, because if production is impacted, then users are impacted. If users are impacted, then it will be financial implications towards business and towards your organization as well. So that's the motive of this key process, to minimize failure in the production. That's the reason I have mentioned to minimize failure. We always can minimize, we always can try our best to minimize the failure, but we never can say that nothing will happen. That's the reason incident management also exists. If something goes wrong, then people are there to to fix it. But there should be a process which can eliminate these errors, which can reduce these errors. Okay, so gradually I will tell you these things in I will explain you. And this is just it was just a first session, so I just explained basic things. And from interview point of view, these are the questions, so straightforward you should have answer. If someone is asking what's the definition of change, then you should have the definition of change. Why change is needed, then you should have these bullet points in your mind, so that you can explain in your term also, right? So today I'm just stopping this session at this time, and because I don't want to make so long video on it. And gradually I will guide you uh, step by step, like roles, KPIs, life cycle of the change, then change process models. And then at the end I will give you assessment as well as interview questions and answer related to change management. So by looking those question answer, you will have a fair idea like what interviewers actually use to ask questions related to change process. So yes, thank you so much. Thanks for watching. Be safe and take care of yourself and your family as well. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening to me. Bye. Take care.